Hello! Welcome back, guys. Elvis X here. We're here with Dubster. Seriously, we break down something's English dub and let you know if it works or not. And being as how it is March, and if you're new around these parts, every year during the month of March, we like to cover anime that star Vic Mignogna for Mignogna March. For he is the most legendary voice actor. I'd say that's in my opinion, but it's not an opinion. It's fact! Fight me! But, yeah. And this year, I wanted to do something major to start it off with, and what is there more major than his very first voice-acted role in anime? Like, ever, period. So last time we covered Street Fighter 2V's manga entertainment dub, but there was a second dub. This dub is incredibly rare and extremely difficult to find. And I have to give massive shout out to my friend Manslayer Goku for helping me track this down. So, props to him. This is a dub I've been trying to look for literal years, and I'm glad I finally managed to get my hands on it with his help. So, let's finally talk about it. Is it worth all the BS to find this dub? Or not? Being as how we've already gone over a bunch of the anime, leave a link down in the thing for you to go watch the manga entertainment breakdown. But, yeah. Okay, so the ADV dub for Street Fighter 2V was made exclusively for the UK market in 1997. Why? I have absolutely no idea. I couldn't find anything as to why they needed this dub. And to this day, it is still exclusive to VHS tapes from the mid-90s in the UK. And, yeah, hence its rarity. Confounding things even farther is the fact that they still do different dubs like this with regional stuff to this day. Look at Vinland Saga, for example, of that. I don't understand it. Anyway, this dub is in some ways better with its script, but in other ways, in terms of voice acting, direction, a lot worse. You could definitely tell this is an early ADV dub. And I mean that in both the best and worst ways possible. So we've already gone over the plot in the last video, but it's Street Fighter. Even if you didn't watch that, I'm sure you don't need me to go over it. Ryu and Ken journey around the world looking for other strong fighters to fight, and eventually Bison's schemes start popping up and they have to get involved in it. I keep sneezing, damn it. But yeah, so let's get straight into the dub. Firstly, I will say because it's VHS quality, the mixing is really off, and I don't think I can really judge too harshly on that since these were never transferred over to DVD. Get on that discotheque, just saying. The ADR director was Matt Greenfield, who we've covered here before on Chrono Crusade, with the script being by Stephen Foster. Yes! Thank you! Oh, yes, thank you. And some of his Fosterisms are definitely present. I'll get to that in a bit, though. First, let me say, this dub actually is way less swearing than the manga entertainment dub. I don't even think they dropped shit once. The manga dub dropped it several times. There was a funny scene where Chun-Li's fighting Guile, and she attacks him full force, and he shouts, "Holy shit!" It's really funny. And this, he doesn't do that. He's just like, "Man, she's tough." Really weird. But I wasn't used to that, because normally with Sentai and ADV, they go all in on the swearing, but this one was way more reserved. You get a couple of damns or hells here and there, but that's basically it. Kind of different than the Street Fighter 2 anime films UK dub, where that one had Guile saying, "Bison, I'll rip your fucking heart out." But here we are. So first, let's talk about our main man, Ryu. Oh, I didn't even mention this last time we talked about the OST real quick. This version of the dub does have both Japanese openings and ending themes. They were able to get the rights to it. They're nothing special. They seem kind of generic to me. Generic 90s stuff. But this dub also includes the eye catchers for the commercial breaks, so that's cool. However, we are missing the next episode previews, and that's a shame. So we don't get Narrator Kun going, "Burn some muscle," etc. But yeah, let's get back to Ryu. Ryu actually has two voice actors, and this is where the problems really start popping up. a bunch of the cast members switch voice actors halfway through, and some it's not as noticeable, others it is pretty damn obvious. These were dubbed in volumes back in the day, and clearly ADV were taking their sweet time, I guess, because holy shit. So, Ryu's first voice actor is Brett Weaver. Yeah, I know, guy attacked Vic or whatever, but he's here. And in fact, I'm actually going to praise his voice acting here in a second. You probably know him as Gunther from Attack on Titan, and ironically enough, Kamina from Gurren Lagann. So it's not the first time him and Kyle Aber actually share a role. Speaking of which, I actually think his role as Ryu isn't terrible. Oh, I'm sorry, Rue. Yeah, they pronounce it Rue in the dub. In this dub in particular. Which is fucking stupid. But his Ryu actually, some of his lines remind me of Kyle Aber's Gohan voice almost. You know, it sounds natural as a teenage Ryu. So I have to give props to the dude. What I can't give props to, though, is Ryu's second voice actor. From episodes 13 onward, it switches over to a guy named Tommy Drake, who's Mr. Sakata from Ghost Stories, and narrator from Cromartie High School. He makes Ryu sound way too gruff. Ryu talks like this now, and it's like, what the fuck? It doesn't work. It's really off. So, needless to say, I actually prefer Brett Weaver's portrayal of Ryu in this dub. Oh, I should mention, I'm going to try not comparing it to the manga entertainment dub, because if you have a choice out there, track that dub down instead. This is primarily for those who, one, grew up with this dub, like I want to know if it was any good for them, as well as if you should check it out as a curiosity thing. After Ryu, though, we've got Ken, voiced by Jason Douglas. That's a choice. Beerus from Dragon Ball Super, and Tobin from The Walking Dead, if that is how you pronounce that. He also voices Ken's father, because, you know, anime genetics include voices. Jason Douglas is a really good voice actor, but I do not think he's good as Ken. I really don't. It's very mixed match here. It is funny hearing him hit on a bunch of women, though. Like, that's pretty great. But I think he'd fit better as Guile, you know, the military man. He's not bad, just miscast. Speaking of Guile, he's voiced by Rob Mungle, who we've covered here before. Morrison from the Devil May Cry anime, and Cancer Death Mask from the Saint Seiya ADV dub. His Guile's okay, but this one could be down a direction. I feel there's other people better on the cast list to play Guile. Rob Mungle might actually fit Sagat better with the gruff voice he's trying to give him. But, yeah. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to bring up some of the script silliness at the end when we're done going over everybody. So, after him, we have Fei Long, voiced by Andrew Klinko, who's Whale Moses from Saint Seiya's ADV dub, and Junpei from Those Who Hunt Elves. His Fei Long is okay. However, he voices Sagat and Inspector Barlock, who's the lead investigator working with Chun-Li's daddy to bring down Bison's crew. And his Fei Long is fine, like I said. His Sagat sucks. He talks like this and has no emotion in anything he says. He is getting, ironically enough, his Sagat in particular is getting the Andrew Ruth Van Award. I'm sorry, it is awful. Words could not describe, but his Fei Long's okay. So, it's a weird one there, where it's like one of his roles sucks, the other one is, you know. But yeah. After him, we have Charlie Nash, voiced by Jay Hickman, who's the giraffe from Review Starlight, I understand. And Shiryu from the Saint Seiya ADV dub. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of ADV dub overlap from Seiya. And his Nash, I don't think he did deep enough voice. I don't know, I picture Nash, it could be because I'm too used to Street Fighter V with Mike McFarlane's portrayal of him, but I always picture Nash having a deeper voice, so that could be on me. Not a bad performance, just, yeah. Next is Balrog, voiced by Warner Richmond, who I couldn't find anything on, and Yeah, he did okay. I don't really have any complaints. He still makes Barg sound black as fuck. Which, you know, nothing wrong with that. Barg is black. And Barg's cool. I don't think this is a bad performance by any means. So, you might notice I'm jumping around a bit. There's a reason for that, and it's because I'm trying to get the ones who don't have multiple voice actors out of the way. Because, yeah. So before Chun-Li, we have her father, who was Do-Rai in the manga dub, but is now Do-Lai with an L in the ADV dub. Those pesky L's in Oz, man, know what I'm saying? He is now voiced by John Swayze, the second voice of Gendo from Evangelion, and Undertaker from Black Butler. Ironically enough, I think he sounds a little young here. For a character like Do-Lai, or Do-Rai, whatever you want to call him. I can't believe I'm saying that for a John Swayze role, but holy shit. At least to me, yeah, he sounds a bit young, which is just weird. But alright. After him, we have Chun-Li, who's Tamara Lowe in the first 21 episodes of the show, who's Azumi from Martian Successor Nadesco, and Tira from Sorcerer Hunters. Honestly, I thought her voice was a little annoying in the beginning. She came across way too screechy and high-pitched for my taste, but she did eventually get better. I got used to it. And hey, they managed to clean up that line where she says, "I'm not a girl, I'm a tour guide," in the old dub. In this dub, she says, "I could take care of myself." Makes way more sense in my opinion. So, again, good for you, ADV, you gotta win. As far as her second voice actress, Chun-Li from episode 22 to the end is voiced by Junie Hoang? Hoang. I don't even... whatever. Who's Lean from Sorcerer Hunters and voices some of the boomers in Bubblegum Crisis 2040. No, not the typical word boomer that we use today. That's really over-the-top cringe and needs to stop. Well, serious, you know what I mean? But yeah, and there's not really much to say, because by the time she takes over for Chun-Li, spoilers, I mean, it's Street Fighter plot, she's being mind-controlled, so all she does is grunt. I can't really judge based on that. She only gets dialogue after that in the final episode. But I guess she did okay. Next, we have Cammy. Both of these roles, for her, I couldn't find anything on. So, up through episode 25, she is voiced by Carol Matthews. And in episodes 26 through 29, it is someone named Sean Taylor. Again, couldn't find anything on either of them, but I will give props to the actress, both of them. They tried giving her a British accent, which the manga dub didn't do, so it makes Cammy feel a bit more authentic. In fact, I'd say Carol Matthews, her first voice actress in particular, almost came across like Bayonetta to me with the voice she was giving her. It reminded me of Helena Taylor. I don't mean that in a bad way, by the way. I know the shit she pulled. You all know what I mean. Come on. So, yeah, I actually prefer Cammy's voice in this dub. As far as Sean Taylor's portrayal of her, I barely noticed the difference of her switching over. That could just be me, though. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know. But yeah. So that's something, I guess. After her, we have Bison. Okay, so Bison is where things get a little confusing because multiple places credit two different people, but I went through all 29 episodes and looked at the credits of all of them where ADV thankfully posted the cast, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to find Sagat, because he wasn't posted on any wikia being credited anywhere in this dub. So some places list Bison as Markham Anderson, whereas others, Markham Anderson, by the way, couldn't find anything on. Others list him as Mike Kleinhens, who's Pope Ares from the ADV dub of Seiya, and Kalanin from Fullmetal Panic. I don't... Every episode credit him as Markham Anderson, but I could definitely notice a voice change around episode 22 plus. And whoever the fuck voiced him first did not work. He made Bison's voice. He made him talk like this. And it was really silly and hilarious. His other one at least tried going for the ham. Again, they credited Markham Anderson as being him all the way through on the ADV dub. So maybe Markham just got better direction, I guess? Otherwise, I have no idea what happened there. But, yeah. Zangief is another one who was never credited at all in any of the episodes, at least from what I could find. But I'm pretty sure it's John Swayze here. Which wouldn't surprise me. The double casting is all over the place with this. Every person I mentioned before has been another character or an ad voice, etc. But yeah. It sounded like his Dodoria voice putting on a Russian accent to me. And hey, he doesn't have the roughy-toughy bullshit this dub, so good for him. Instead, he has lines like, when I get mad, I get angry. It's like, no shit. So yeah, he's still a bit of an idiot, but at least he's not anger-inducingly stupid like before. I prefer, like, he comes across as dense, but not retarded, is the best way I could put it. Now, next we have the narrator, who for the first half of the show is Tristan McAvery, who you'd all probably know as Vector from Alita Battle Angel, and the first voice of Gendo Akari. And the voice he goes for reminds me of the old narrator. What's his name? Dale Kelly, I think, for DBZ, you know, from the late 90s dub, before Kyle Aber took over, where it's like, last time on Street Fighter. So, yeah. But episode 10 plus, John Gramillion took over, who's Rio from Buddy Daddies, and Hazama from Gate. He's also fine. Again, I barely noticed the difference at first, and I might not have had I not known ahead of time. So, both narrator voices are fine. Now, before we get to the side characters, one main character left, and it is our main man, Vega, who is the premiere debut role of Vic Mignogna. Which is kind of funny, because Vic has always played creepy as fuck dudes like this before. This was all the start, though. And I'm gonna be fair here, this you can definitely tell was his first voice role. It's not the worst performance I've ever heard. I've certainly heard worse premieres. Hell, Vic actually sounds worse than The Reflection, believe it or not. But you can tell he was still finding his footing here. He's having fun. Again, his fight with Ken is still by far the highlight of the show, in both dubs, in my opinion. Hearing him act off Jason Douglas was cool. It's the closest we're probably going to get to Broly versus Beerus, actually. But, and dub, I mean. But yeah. He tries, but I feel, given a couple years, Vic would rise to become who we all know and love. But if you want to hear his humble beginnings, this is definitely it. They also didn't put a filter on his mask when he's wearing one, like in the manga dubs, so that was a little awkward to get used to. But, overall, I think Vic had a solid start, but you can definitely tell it is definitely a start. So, the last couple of characters I want to go over is Zochi, who's the head of the Ashura gang that works under Bison. Voiced by Randy Sparks. He's the guy that we mentioned before that has the chainsaw arm, like Ash from Evil Dead, and likes collecting arms in a jar. And he makes a really bad pun, too, saying, "Would you like to give me a hand with my collection?" It's like, oh, that's so cringe. Damn it, Stephen Foster. Well, Randy is known for voicing Commander Sparks from Bubblegum Crisis 2043, or 2040. Oh, come on! But hey, it's the Dolphin Saint and Saint Seiya. The ADV dub. That's something. It's okay, I guess. The last one is Zoltar, Bison's right-hand man, who he nicknamed Fang before Fang was a thing, because, you know, it's basically Fang. Bison's #1 fan. He's voiced by Peter Errol in this dub, and he gave him a really weird accent. He makes him talk like this. And it's just, it's silly. The accents in this dub are really silly, because they gave characters Hispanic accents in Thailand, which is a bit weird. But yeah. I'm going to go over some of the script changes that I thought were a bit awkward. So, since we're done with the main cast, Chun-Li, they treat Chun like her first name and Li like her last name, which is different. So characters will constantly call her Miss Li. They do that with Fei Long as well, calling him Mr. Long. That's a thing. Let's see, the episode where Ken is going against a bunch of gang members, the Final Fight reference episode with Sodom and shit, he asks a bunch of hockey mask wearing people if they're fans of Friday the 13th. Yeah, that's a Stephen Foster line if I've ever heard one. I should mention the fight with the nunchucks dude is also completely omitted from this dub because at the time censorship laws in the UK couldn't portray nunchucks. It was really bizarre. Ask Ninja Turtles fans. Oh, I'm sorry, Hero Turtles fans. So, correction from the last sub, by the way. I think I said the restaurant when we were bringing up the KKK restaurant because that's its initials was Keikukai. No, it was Kinku Kaishi. Still those initials, though, for some reason. Fei Long being called a Bruce Lee clone is a thing. Let's see. The Walla isn't dubbed. That's something. Sagat is pronounced Saget, which is a word that rhymes with a very offensive word. Hado is pronounced Hadou, which is fucking stupid. Yeah, they call it Hadouken, not Hadoken. But hey, they got Shadowloo pronounced correctly. Yeah, with the games, they're more accurate. They call it Shadowloo instead of Shadowlaw. So, who's that? Bison's dialogue, though, with his first voice actor is easily the most hilarious change they've done with him. He says, think of me like a big teddy bear. And Chun-Li fights him back and he says, hey, that's not any way for a girlfriend to act. It's the dumbest shit. I don't even understand it, man. He comes across sleazy here rather than intimidating. It's pretty funny. Ryu calls the Tatsu kicks the tornado kick in this, but yet pronounces Shoryuken correctly instead of calling it the dragon punch. Yeah, I'm just going to go over some of the silliness with this dub, because I think it's interesting, some of the changes, since no one else has covered this damn thing. Let's see. They call it Shiryu Hadoken instead of the other way around, until switching back to what the manga dub had. As, like, later on. Make up your fucking mind. Although the biggest, I think, dub fuck-up, in my opinion, is actually with Guile when he takes on Chun-Li, when she's in a mind-controlled state. He says he met Chun-Li with Ken and Ryu before. No, he fucking didn't. He keeps insinuating that the whole fight, being like, this isn't you, Chun-Li, which you could insinuate because she's under mind control and he knows that, maybe, that he knows it's not the real her. But he acts like he knows her and has met her before. He never met her in this continuity. The only ones he met before were Ken and Ryu, and I was in a bar fight. So he's acting like he's known her the whole time. Coming up with her own headcanon, I see. Oh yeah, and the narrator saying Ken is on in a previous episode thing. He's like, Ken is now on his way to look for Chun-Li and Ken, instead of Chun-Li and Ryu. So Ken is looking for himself? What the fuck happened there? This fucking dub. One of the other things, too, is in the manga dub, Cammy calls one of her moves the sniping heel. But in this dub, she calls it the cannon drill kick. So I guess that one's more accurate, the ADV dub. The last thing I'll go over is I only noticed one filter this whole dub, and it was when Bison draws in his Psycho power to go for the Psycho Crusher. Oh, I'm sorry, the Psychic Crusher. Yeah, it's Psychic powers in this dub. That's the only time he has a filter, though. And I saw a lot of people prefer the script for this dub. And for the Bison fight, I mean in particular, Bison versus Ken and Ryu. And I can kind of see why. I actually thought the script was alright for this. Even though they have no filters when they're in his world, the only one who does is Bison when he goes Super Saiyan Psycho mode, I guess. That's really it. The last thing I want to mention is with the ad voices. Vic actually voiced a couple. One being a southern old man in the middle of Spain or Barcelona. So he makes them talk like this. It is fucking hilarious to me, and I laughed my ass off when hearing it. It was honestly worth sitting through this show a second time just for that. I cannot understate how great this was hearing. But yeah. So, that's basically it. Again, I wanted to cover this dub for ages simply because I wanted to hear the differences with it, and I'm glad I did. Should you watch this dub over the manga dub if you've never seen the show before? Fuck no. I can't even say that with a straight face. No, you shouldn't, in my opinion. I know some people prefer this dub. In fact, I've seen people say they grew up with this dub in the UK, so they have nostalgia for it, and I totally get that. But for a first-time viewer, I'd say watch the manga dub instead, especially since it's literally, this dub is missing several minutes of content in a couple of the eps because of the nunchuck situation. And the dub is more funny rather than over-the-top 90s as hell like the manga dub. This dub is for those who I would say are only hardcore Vic Mignogna fans like myself and want to track down and see some of his humble beginnings. Not even just him. I'd say if you want to hear like Jason Douglas in one of his earlier roles, or, you know, maybe you want to hear John Swayze or something in some of their humble beginnings. And I find that shit most interesting of all. It's one of the reasons I wanted to cover Dubster Live in the first place, or start this series, to look at old English dubs like this. You know, that maybe flew under the radar, that didn't get enough attention brought to them. So I would also say it's for hardcore fans of Street Fighter 2V that have maybe seen the manga dub and want to hear different takes on these characters. Again, some takes I do actually prefer. I'm going to be fair. I feel Cammy's voice actress actually trying to put on a full British accent with her fits the character better. But yeah. Outside of that, I would say Jason Douglas gets the MVP for the dub. Even though he is miscast, I still think he'd make a great Guile instead. He's the one definitely who has the best performance here. Hey, he plays Ken's dad pretty well, though, I guess. The ad voice recycling was about what you'd expect. If you're familiar with these voice actors, you could call them out immediately. Surprisingly, Vic didn't play that many people. Oh yeah, he, aside from the Southern Old Man, he also played a tortured prisoner that Bison and his crew at Shadowloo were torturing. And you got to hear him do the evil Broly laugh for a second while being tortured. Oh, the origination of that. But yeah. That's basically it. I am grateful to Goku and the other people who helped preserve this dub in any way, shape, or form online. So there's that. This dub is a bitch to track down, but if you're interested in hearing these humble beginnings for some of these voice actors, or just want to watch a different take on this dub, I'd say go for it. Otherwise, just stick to the manga dub. Oh, I didn't even bring up Dalsum. Thank God I checked that real quick. Yeah, Dalsum is my Kleinhead, so I already brought up as one of the Bison voices. He's okay, I guess. I don't have anything else to say on him. It's just alright. That's it. Oh. Yeah. I already brought up Andrew Ruthvan's award earlier, particularly the portrayal of Sagat. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching. Coming up next, going to be a crazy Mignogna march ahead. I want to cover something obscure that Vic started next. Something that maybe people have heard of, but not a lot of people have seen. I like looking up that shit. You know, seeing if we could find a hidden gem. Or it could be absolute dog shit. Who knows? Going to be a blind watch. Something probably from ADV's days. Hope you all join me for that. And hopefully you all enjoyed this and found this as interesting as I did, looking at the obscure, rare as hell UK ADV dub for Street Fighter. If you did, please leave a comment and let me know what you thought. Maybe you disagree with me if you've seen the dub. You can find episode 7 of the dub currently on YouTube, and I think a couple of other clips, but that's about it if you want to at least give it a shot and hear what it sounds like. But, yeah. Anyways, thanks again for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you all have yourselves a fantastic day. And yeah, we'll revisit Street Fighter again in the future. Next in the timeline will be Street Fighter Alpha's movie. And yeah. Till then, join me again next time for more Mignogna March. Hope you have yourselves a great day, and hope you all had fun with this one. And remember one thing if you take away from this. Bison is a teddy bear with Chun-Li as his girlfriend. And don't make Zangief mad, because when he gets mad, he gets angry. Till next time.